YouTube says we're live, so I'll give it a beat or two. Welcome to Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom. I'm your host, Greg Gow. The gang's all here. We got John, Courtney, John, Mike, Garth, John, Phil, and John, and the rest of the Johns and other non-Johns. Looks like Gio's here, and other people I'm sure will continue to show up. So does anybody have anything they want to show and tell? John, Mr. Weber, it looks like you're showing off the cars. Did you want to do anything special or?
Yeah, yeah, I got a couple of things. Those,
Sure, go ahead.
So I saw, can you hear me now?
Yep.
I saw an ad on eBay for 3 polished steel 1/32 scale cars. This is them. Okay. And they were, I think the total was, it ended up being $12, something like that. And let me get my mug out of the way. Here, there we go. And so I thought that's pretty cool. So they arrived, and eventually, and they oops, not the right pic. As you can see from the mat, their size, maybe you can kind of figure out, that's a little odd. They turned out to be 1/55th scale. The ad said 1/32, but they turned out to be 1/55th scale. And let's see.
They look pretty good, especially for that scale.
They do. And this is one here. That's,
oh yeah,
of course, the
yeah, they look tiny, John.
They do.
See the bottom of it. Let's see the chassis.
The photos were really good in hiding the fact that they are not 1/32 scale. But I've decided to keep them. I'll use them for forced perspective or something like that, I think. But
you said 12. You said about $12 for all 3.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's not bad, even if they were HO or 1/43.
Yeah, if you bought them at the toy store, they would cost.
Yeah.
That, you know.
You could put a 1/30. I was gonna say you could put a 1/32 scale driver in the middle and pretend they're go-karts.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah.
I mean, do they function? You'd put some battery to it or something to make sure they go?
No, they're just like Hot Wheels.
Okay. Gotcha.
They just roll around. So, let's see. They're tiny. Compared to things, but
Well, that's too bad.
Yeah. Oh well, it'll work out somehow or another. It usually does.
Yep. Good looking cars though.
They're all that would be so cool if they were all really 1/32 scale. And I thought, well, what if they're die cast, because he doesn't say they're die cast, and they didn't really look like it. The finish is really good on them, and so I just thought they were slightly crude, but I thought, I could maybe pull a John kit and make bodies off of them or something. But then the other cool thing I picked up is one of these 1/32 scale Honda S600.
That's a great little model, John. That's a great model.
It is. Yeah. And it was about $20, which is a lot more than I would have considered paying for a plastic static model. But these are different. These are in a different category. And as a kind of a, for instance, I was curious about how large. I know they're very small cars, the real McCoy. And I've seen a Jay Leno episode where he carries around the guy with the handlebar mustache in one of these, and zips around his usual route. That's bad. Okay, so this is how big this machine is the real McCoy compared to, let's see if I can get it to work here, compared to the Chaparral 2F. It's
Yeah,
tiny.
I mean, the Honda was
2F's
basically, oh, I was gonna say the
2F's
Honda is
tiny.
basically oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The 2F is really a tiny car compared to the Fords, but this thing is, you know, it's smaller than a Sprite, quite a bit smaller than a Sprite or a midget. But
Oh yeah, it's a
anyway,
four-wheeled motorcycle.
yeah, it was this one has a nice paint job on the body. It had been started by somebody and not finished, and so I thought it was kind of cool. This should be a really interesting slot car to build. Tiny little guy. That's pretty
I've
much
seen the real car race at Sonoma once.
Three-cylinder,
There was a race car.
3-cylinder, 660 cc.
Yeah.
I think dual overhead cam. You know, they
Well,
look like
it's got well, it's a little Formula One engine. It has roller bearing cranks. It's unreal.
Yeah, they're cool. They're really cool. I think the red line is something like 12.5 or something like, or 10.5 or something like that. 10,500 RPM. But it's really a neat little car. And now I don't know if you guys are seeing them, but I'm seeing a lot of those little Honda pickup trucks and a few of the little K sports cars. They're being imported into the country because it's legal now, and there are folks out there who are doing it, bringing them into the country, and they really sell for pretty good prices. And you know, they're those little tiny flatbed trucks and cab over. They look like cab overs, so they're not, but they look like. And it's kind of interesting too. Lots of different brands.
Yeah, we have them here too. The only problem is they're right-hand drive, so making left turns is an adventure.
They are Japanese. Anyway, that's what I've got.
That's cool.
All right. Good
Blame
stuff,
the
Mr.
Romans.
What model was that, John?
It's, you know, it's the model this one is made in China.
Ah, right.
The model company is called LS. See if I can get up close.
Oh, yeah.
The logos is oops, the logo's right in this corner right here.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
The
make a
chain drive.
whole bunch of them.
Yeah. The first one was chain drive. And they were rather unusual to drive because when you sort of took off at the lights, the back of the car felt like it was jacking up all the time with the chain drive. A friend of mine bought a wrecked hardtop one and cut the top off it and put it onto his Sprite. It fitted quite well. Looked like a nice conversion. Yeah.
So
All
the
right. Good
Sprite,
stuff, John.
Sprite would be a
Go
little
ahead.
heavy.
Mm.
That is all.
That is all.
Wait, John,
All
do you have
right.
a resin kit of that Honda?
Do what?
I don't, because you can get them actually from Hobby Link Japan for less money than I can make them. Like they used to be like a $10 to $15 kit. Yeah. My hand
John.
kept going down for some reason. I don't know why.
I saw you early on, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, as I said last week, we had our model show on Sunday. Oh my gosh, so much fun. I actually got recognized because of the Worldwide Slot Car Chat.
Ooh.
Yep, and my
Fame and
channel,
fortune for you besides
By the police?
and my channel as well. But it was really very cool because most of the people say that, you know, they kind of miss especially the early shows because a lot of them have, like, you know, real jobs and stuff. But they usually have it on the background when they're working on their slot car stuff. So I just thought I'd pass that on.
Huh? Did they bow
Yeah,
and scrape? Or
Yeah. Isn't that cool though?
yeah,
I
that's
think
cool.
it's great. So, but I did, you know, unfortunately, I have no willpower. So I just, I thought I would show you.
Does
what
anybody here have willpower?
In that situation, no.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. Hang on. Let me just try and share here. Yeah, I'm just trying to get back to the. Hang on a minute. Oops. Okay, here we go. Let me just share what I bought. Right, here we go. And screen sharing.
Yep.
There it is. Ooh. Okay, so this is my haul. You know what? I had so much fun. Let me enlarge this for you. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Now there's so I got a couple of model car and track magazines, which is really kind of cool. This kit, believe it or not, I didn't have. So again, the prices were just, I couldn't walk away from it. 57 vet to see if I can do one that's better than MR slot car. And a 917, again, I just could not buy it. These three figures were like $5. And these are the IMC stalkers. So let's get, I'll show you some close-ups here. That might help. Oh, there's a better shot of the stalkers. So yeah, there's two monogram figures and like an Eldon or Airfix figure. The model car and track are from 1965 and 1966. Amazingly, I didn't have these, and they're in really good shape. This Stingray model, the box is not great, but the car isn't bad. I mean, it's snapped together. Someone put it together, but all the parts are there, and nobody broke any of the tabs. So it'd be really, really cool. I think people are familiar with this Revell 32nd scale vet. And again, all the parts are there, unbuilt. Really, really cool. Then, of course, the ubiquitous Airfix, although this was also remarketed by MPC years ago. All the parts are there, including the driver, and just an unbuilt kit. And then these two.
For these?
Oh, okay. So I'll go back. So this Corvette, I think that one was a little more expensive. I think I got it for $10 because it was built. The Vet was 15, and the Airfix 917 was 15. Sorry, I forgot to mention the prices. Now these are two IMC 132nd scale. Yeah, well, yeah. What is that, like 15 cents US or something? But these are really cool. Like I always wanted to get these, and especially the Ford, because they're so kitschy, and it's also tough getting 132nd scale models of Pontiacs. There aren't very many of them around.
Yeah.
So, and this is a Grand Prix. The only thing is, unfortunately, it's painted, but that's okay. I'll strip it. But the glass is there. The card is there. The chrome is there. Can't complain. And this one was, I think, $20 because usually they're very expensive models. And then this one was 20 as well, but because it was built as a model kit. But again, all the parts are there. The interior tray and I should say both have the roll bars and the glass, and the chrome's in really, really good shape. But here's what's really interesting, though. There are these little depressions from the actual injection molding where the body posts are. And I just thought I'd highlight that. If you're looking at them, you got to fill them, I guess, with putty. But I was really quite taken aback because I've seen that with monogram. But I thought, but still, I mean, they're still really cool cars. So there you go.
Yeah, back in the day, that was de rigueur to fill those in before you painted it.
Yeah, because the car that was really famous for it was the 275P from Monogram. In the back area, there were depressions. So, it was a great show, and really well attended, and just really enjoyed it. So, if there's one in your area, folks, go.
Wish. Yeah.
If there were one in my area. All right, thank you, John. And go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, I picked up, have you guys seen nail stamping where you take these plates and then you stamp onto your painting? Has anybody seen that? Can I share something real quick? Let me share. Well, it's for fingernails, but model hobby guys have been using it now for like 6 months. Let me see if I can share this. let me pull this up. Hopefully, are you able to see this video?
Yep.
Okay, it may be a little choppy, but you take the metal plate. These are custom plates for miniature wargaming. You put some kind of, this isn't nail polish. They've added something to make it flow a little better. You scrape off the excess, you stamp it with the silicone stamper, and then you take your model that you're working on, you line it up for the clear, and you stamp on the paint job.
Oh,
And
that's like
then
tampo. It's like tampo printing.
Yeah, it's a hand
exactly.
tampo printing.
It's hand tampo, and I picked up a number set. Let me see if I can stop sharing. I just picked up this number set because I was thinking, I'm tired of decals. What if I could stamp my own numbers on my cars that I wanted? But so far, it's been a complete failure. I haven't been able to get it to work. So
Aw.
I was hoping somebody here was already ahead of me, but the material, I've tried every kind of different paint, but there must be something that they're using special to get it sticky
Yeah.
enough to scrape, but then sticky enough to tampo. But
Yeah.
you can get custom printed. They're for nails. Women do their nails and then have a cute design on them and do that. But if
Yeah.
somebody could do a roundel in 1/32nd, and then a number, I mean, you could basically add insane, intricate patterns to cars in different spots without all the work that Geo goes through.
That would be pretty cool.
Anyway, yeah, and they're cheap. I mean, the like this one was like $2, so, but it's just
Yeah.
learning how to do it. That's the problem.
And getting the right
So,
formula for the
figuring
paint
out the
and
nail, yeah.
where you the first thing you put it onto, and then getting
Well,
of
I
course
watched
the little squishy
Barbatos
thing.
Rex. He's trying it too, and I keep practicing on spoons, but I never get a good layer to adhere to the spoon. So keep an eye out. Somebody will master it someday, and we'll get some actual like slot car plates going.
I'm surprised I haven't seen anything. I mean, I don't look at a lot of scratch building threads to begin with, but that's the kind of thing that would draw my attention. Have you tried this? Blah blah blah. I'd have looked at that, and I don't remember ever seeing anybody use that for slot cars, and that surprises me.
A lot
I know.
of
Maybe they just don't
Well,
know about it yet.
Well,
lot of
ironically,
places-
that's what the manufacturers use.
Yeah, it's the
They
same
use
thing.
those big, huge machine things. I've seen
Yeah.
those go before, and yeah,
But it does this. It works the same way, pretty much.
yeah,
a lot of race cars nowadays don't use roundels. They're using
Yeah.
small
No.
rectangular sets, and of course, like Geo, you put some light behind them, or make them out of the right material, I guess. That would be,
yeah. I'm just thinking, like, I mean, with my laser cutter, I could do it on plastic, but I couldn't do it on metal. That was kind of the problem. But it's only like $20-$30 to get your own custom one designed and sent to you. So if I can figure out how to do it consistently, then I'll worry about, coming up with a different pattern. I mean, it's only 4 inches by 3 inches, so it's not a lot of space.
So, Jeremy, is that a laser cut piece of metal? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's a piece of metal. It's just metal on a piece of blue plastic, and then you see the indentation there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just I assume because they make fiber lasers that can do in metal. They can etch metal like coins and stuff. So if you set it very thinly, you can get it to etch into there, because you don't want to go too far in, because then you'd have a ton of paint. So it's just a few microns that it shaves off of it. But I mean, right now, even with just the numbers, I would have numbers if I can get it working, and maybe like a few design things here and there. A few hearts on the car. Everybody loves hearts and stars. So, but on that Barbatos Rex paint channel, he started playing with it, and he's thinking about getting a Gundam plate printed, which would have, whatever Gundam mech kind of stuff. So it is possible. Hopefully somebody watches this and goes, "Oh, I've done this for years. My wife does this. Here's what you need." I just
Yeah.
don't know the formula yet.
Well, I tell you, if they use nail varnish, it's basically a lacquer, and it's really thick.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
so far
were-
I've been
were you
using like
able to-
Tamiya paints and Tester's paint, but I haven't tried an enamel. So maybe I'll try that next.
Were you able to? Were some of the video that you first showed? Do they
Mhm.
specify like get this product and?
No, they
use
sell
it?
it. They sell you their formula and their kit, and I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense for them. But nail ladies have been doing this for years apparently, and they ain't buying that kit. They're doing it somehow.
Yeah.
And I don't speak like the ladies in our area do it that are in the Chinese nail shops. I don't speak Chinese. I don't think they're gonna help me.
Can you help me do this nail thing onto this car?
Teach me your job. Thank
Teach me
you.
your job. Yeah, yeah.
Don't
Well,
think
I'm
that's
sure
happening.
it'll.
Anyway,
I'm sure somebody will pick that up and figure it out and start blabbing about it. If not you.
so I'm not gonna figure it out. I think this one's beyond my ability. But hopefully
All
somebody
right.
does. That was all.
Hopefully somebody watching says, "Ooh, that's a great idea. I'm totally going to get into that." And then we'll have a new way of doing all those things that was technically discovered by you.
Where did you
Walker.
find the stamp? How did you get it?
Oh,
Where did
you can buy any of these stamps in different sizes. I just picked the biggest one I could find because I thought doing a roundel on a car. I mean, this is about an inch and a half across, so. But they make them all different sizes, square ones, small, round ones, whatever you need. Just if you look nail stamping on like Amazon or eBay, you'll just see tons of stuff.
Okay.
There's a whole industry we're not aware of out there.
the little clip showing the Warhammer guy, 40K
Yeah.
guy being stamped, was that on Barbados Rex?
That was no, that was on Goblin Hobbies.
Okay.
It was out there a while back, and then I thought somebody should bring this over, and then I looked on YouTube and I saw Barbatos had done some. So it's getting there. We're getting close.
Yeah, pretty cool.
All right, good stuff. Let's move along. And Mr. Maurer, what would you like to share?
I have, well, if you guys remember this car, how could you forget? It's such a beautiful car. I can show you what I've done to the inside of it now. And you can see it's
Ooh.
basically gutted.
Mhm.
This one, I can show you another one that I've done. This is the McLaren. This one hasn't been done yet, but you can see all the raised edges for the stiffening. I've taken all of that out, and this whole thing is flattened, and it's stiff enough, and it goes really, really well. I've done it to the two cars I raced this past Monday, both the Ferrari 296 and this one, and it works out really well. The other thing that works out really well is if you note the front end, I've got a standard guide in it. You can see that. Well, what I did is I took the top part, if you see where the screws are to the left and right of the center of the guide there, that piece comes out and it leaves a round hole. And there's replacements from various manufacturers that replace it with a 3D printed piece to put a regular guide in it, or an aluminum piece, I think, in Slot Invasion.
Yeah.
And what I did is I took a piece of 3/32 tubing. I had the little tiny piece here, that tall, you can see, and that piece is underneath that big round screw in the middle there of the guide. And I cut the bottom of it. Now this is going to be somewhat hard to see. If you look past the guide, you can see that I cut off half or so of the guts of the center of it and glued that in for a stop for the guide.
Mm-hmm.
And then just use the pieces from the top and the centerpiece of that guide assembly for the Carreras, that whole big piece in there, and just put a regular guide in it. The hole is correct sized, except you need the piece of tubing in it to stabilize the upper portion of it. That piece of tubing, of brass tubing, fits right underneath there. So if you got a piece of 3/32 tubing, you can put that almost anywhere you want. You do the same thing for scale X-Trick, but that way you don't have to spend any money for it's like $6 or $7 for one of those. This is free, a little bit of time, and it worked out really well. So just wanted to show people that it's possible to do that without any expense. So And the cars, you know, it is one of my problems. I can't stop myself about making the cars go fast, and I put all this work into doing it. But you know, it's kind of fun too. But they're really pretty respectable cars. You know, my fast GT3s that I have are in the 7.5 second range, and these are running 8.2 seconds. So you know, half second behind or so is pretty respectable, I think. And they're nice, solid cars. They're fairly heavy, so they've got presence, and they don't have any ill handling effects. I was just really surprised at how much I could take out. It was so the original thing was sort of an experiment to see how much of the guts of that stiffening I could take out and still maintain a viable chassis that worked fairly well. I fully expected it to be a POS, but it was not. It definitely was not. If you watch the videos from Monday, you can see how it ran. And that'll be coming up later. So anyway, I thought it would be a good thing to show people that, you know, if you want to change the guide out on a Carrera car, you can do it fairly easily and without any expense.
Did you measure how much weight you took out? Yeah, Mike, did you measure how much weight you actually took off?
No, I did not, but I have prior to that, and it's something like 25 grams.
Wow, 25.
Yeah.
Their chassis are.
Yeah, the chassis are fairly heavy, and the bodies are fairly heavy too. So it was a lot of weight saving.
What'd you take out of the body?
So
the 25 grams is both body and chassis.
Right.
Okay.
Let me see, where'd I put it? I lost it on my workbench.
I mean, if you put your card interior in, that would have been most of it.
Yeah. Well, I put a card interior into it. So, you know, what I do is I take like the slotted pieces of cardboard that I get, you know, from the various pieces mostly from the chips that I get. And I paint it black and use that as a flat piece under there. Most of the drivers are removable from the Carrera interiors, and they can just be glued in along with the roll cages in them. So the original roll cage is still in there. You can see it in the back there a little bit, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, you can see it's behind the number. Yeah, the roll cage is in there. That's glued in. And the driver is glued in, and the back part of the seat, of course. Since it's a flooded interior anyway, which I really appreciate that Carrera does, it's a good idea to do that. You save a lot of weight up top, and in their favor, they have started cutting out the centerpiece of the glass. They make the glass in one piece, and most of the time it's a full piece all the way across. Well, the newer ones, like the Porsche, they've started taking a square out of the center, so there's only a little edge along it for the top part of it, which I think is cool because it eliminates a lot of mucking about with a Dremel to get that high weight out. So, but I'm really kind of chuffed. The only thing I have to do yet is make the lights work, and I left the lights in.
Yeah.
I have to get a resistor to make it down to 2.75 volts, which is what they're going on. I measured the voltage off of they have a board. See if I have that lying around. Yeah, here it is. You know, this is the board, which is nearly the same size as the chip that's in there and almost as heavy. So
Yeah,
if I
it was
put
an
just
analog car.
yeah, it's an analog car. Thankfully, they've started putting lights in all of them. That's kind of cool because you got all the lights in them. And what I can do is I can put a resistor in and make it work there. This chip operates brake lights too. So when you let off the controller, it operates brakes on the car. but
I mean, if you
it's
wanted
too
to,
big.
you could. It's too big. You don't want to just go ahead and leave that in there.
Well, it's the first off, it goes right in the place where the chip goes. You know, where you can see where I've got,
Yeah.
you know, I put it back together.
So you use that tray interior, so you've got a good amount of room. Like you could stack them.
That's true. I could do that. Yeah,
But
it's
yeah, a
possible.
resistor would be. If
Yeah,
you can do a
yeah.
resistor, then
And
yeah,
well,
go
plus
for it.
it's got the switch in it. You know,
Yeah, the polarity switch.
the polarity switch is in it. And of course that, you know, it takes up a lot of room and it's way up high, so performance suffers. And you know, I'm a speed crazed moron, so
Yep.
what can I say?
Was that
Anyway,
a
well, I guess I'm a semi speed crazed moron. I don't put the magnets in, so I'm not speed crazed moron that much.
but that was an SSD chip, right?
That was what was that?
That was
SSD,
that was a
yes.
Scalextric.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a
So it
Scalextric strip,
looks. So it's got the
and I
light
stripped the
pads on
bottom
it.
of it off.
What?
I took the door off of the SSD chip.
Sure. Okay, so it was
Oh.
a DPR chip. Is it I don't remember the details of it, but if it's a recent enough one, then it's got light outputs on it.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. I could probably do that. That makes sense. Good thinking.
I mean, at the very least, check to see if it's got the light outputs and then measure the voltage output on those pads to see if
Yeah.
it's not close enough. Because if it's
Yeah.
about the same voltage, I mean, if it's double the voltage, then you're going to lose
Yeah,
some
then you're going to
lifetime.
blow to the LEDs. But yeah, let me see.
And it has brake light control, I believe.
Isn't there a four?
Yeah,
There's four holes in here.
one for positive to the headlights and the tail lights, and then one for low power to the tail lights for the running lights versus brake lights, and then ground, or maybe there's two grounds, one for the low voltage and one for the higher voltage.
So there are two grounds. So one for the
Okay.
rear and one for the front. And then you have also two positive, one for the rear and one from the front. If I remember correctly, I think you can plug. Yeah. I don't know if you need a resistor, to be honest with you. But yeah, I don't remember if I put a resistor on that. Because with Scalextrics, they have resistors in the boards where the lights are mounted.
Yeah, it's not going to be a full 12 whatever volts. It's definitely going to be
Right.
a reduced volt.
Right. Well, I'll measure that and see where it is. I see the plus and minus on it, but I can't tell what the other ones are.
There's a thing on Slot Forum about it.
There's four holes. I don't
It's
know.
very difficult to say.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. There's the four holes. And the
Yeah,
third one in from the right on the screen is the positive.
Go to Slot Forum on the Scalextric Digital. Look at the useful links pinned thread, and there's probably a link in there for adding lights to the newest DPR chip. If not,
Okay.
it's in there. It's in there somewhere. You might just, if you can't find it, just ask about it, and I'm sure somebody will post it. But there's definitely a thread that shows which wires for which lights go to which pad, and probably how many volts it is. If it's by Rico Rocket, then it's probably got all that information.
Right. Yeah, he's more than likely the source on that. Yeah, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that before but I do all of these in SSD because it's not, I don't know. It's not worth an oxygen chip.
Yeah. I mean, at first I thought maybe it was the original Saloon chip, and I was going to say those have light outputs too, and either the chip has the resistors in place, or you need to do a little solar bridge across the pads for the missing resistors to get the onboard light control to work. But that's a DPR, so you're even better off with that chip.
Yeah, and those chips are cheap as chips.
The
to
problem is
speak.
you don't know whether or not it's got the light resistors on board or not until you actually get it in hand and can look at it and see whether or not there's missing components.
No, my point was that from Professor Motor, the SSD chips are only $24.
The DPR ones?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah.
And for those interested, I found oxygen chips at Amanda Hobbies for 50 instead of
Amanda
55.
Hobbies?
Amanda's Hobbies.
I've never heard of that. Is it amandashobbies.com?
Yeah, they've got a bunch of Carrera stuff and a fair amount of stuff. It's not all their prices are great, but most of them are pretty decent.
I think her last name is Hug and Kiss. Mike was looking up Amanda Hug and Kiss.
Amanda's no apostrophe dash hobbies.
No, there is an apostrophe.
Not on the one that I found. In the logo there is, but in the URL it's not.
Oh, okay.
The logo has an apostrophe. The URL is just Amanda's with no apostrophe dash hobbies IES at the end.com. So yeah, I'll take a look around on that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind some pointers to some inexpensive and available Arc Pro controllers. Segue, are you done, Mike?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so segue into my show and tell / club corner. I'll talk more about the racing. But I've already uploaded the video of the EMSA analog guys taking a crack at 6 cars digital on my 54-foot 2-lane Scalextric digital track. They got a lot better throughout the 9 2-minute heats. But during the show and tell here, I'm going to talk about what I've done for, and why is that not showing? Because it's being stupid. After 6 heats of using the Arc Pro controllers, which I think I probably mentioned earlier in previous episodes, the Arc Pro controllers are oxygen compatible if you load firmware into them. So I did that because I had borrowed 6 color-coded controllers, and did this is actually showable. So let me show this part here.
I must say that was so cool. I looked at the whole video.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. There were definitely some hiccups. These are the 6 cars that I set up. These are all slotted DTM cars. So we actually ended up with 3 alphas, and I just noticed that, no, that's a Mercedes. Okay, so 3 alphas, 2 Mercedes, and 1 Opel. I was kind of hoping for 2 of each, but then I got a good deal on the red alpha, so I didn't use the Opel with the red stripe on it, and then it is what it is. So this is the set of cars that we were running. The thing that I wanted to show.
This is a nice picture, man.
I appreciate that. I took a few, and my new cell phone is pretty darn good at taking nice pictures.
And also, I think that the fact that you used a real red car, full solid color instead of a stripe, I think it's much better, easy to follow.
Yeah,
on
that's basically why I went
Yeah.
with the Alpha rather than the other Opel, because the other Opel was half white, right? So the guys are having a hard
Yeah.
enough time remembering which car they were driving to begin with. So I'm trying to get my program here to remember what it's supposed to be doing, but I'll have to use another one. Anyways, as I was trying to say, stop share. There we go. After 6 heats of using the Arc Pro controllers, I realized that I did not like the trigger on the Arc Pro controller because it was just kind of 1 finger rather than 2, and I could kind of get my middle finger on the edge of the trigger, but not with really enough purchase to be comfortable. So I'm currently working on a 2-finger trigger for the Arc Pro controller. And I have not prototyped it and tested it yet, but I've been getting high percentages of first tries with my CAD, so I'm hopeful. that I'll be able to just pop this in the controller and it'll work as expected. But a few tweaks, and I'm sure I'll have it shared. But basically, it turns the single finger controller into a 2-finger controller. The other thing that would be good for the Arc Pro controllers to make them more comfortable to use, because the main issue is that there's not a lot of control at the low end because it's a single finger and the spring is pretty strong. I don't like a strong spring to begin with. Some other guys like strong springs. I don't like strong springs. But that just means it's harder to control at low throttle, at low trigger, right? And there's no throttle curve for the Arc Pro controller as an oxygen controller. You can't even do anything in the app to give it a different throttle curve. You can do that in Scalextric Digital through the Arc Pro, the apps on the Arc Pro system, but not for oxygen. So
Can
I'm
you do
hoping
it
that. Go ahead.
Can you do it in PC Lap Counter? Because there's throttle adjustments on PC Lap Counter.
You can reduce the power, which I did. I had all the power reduced to like 75 or 80%, because even at 10 volts, these cars were a lot for this track for inexperienced digital drivers. But I didn't want to make them super low power, right? So they still needed to be able to crash. So with 80% power or 75, whichever the two it was, there was still plenty of throttle, plenty of speed at low trigger, low throttle. And multiple guys were complaining about that. So I would like there to be some way to give it a different curve for the throttle.
There
there
is.
isn't. Not
There is. On
in
PC Lap Counter, there is.
okay.
I've used it, so yeah.
For oxygen,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure.
not just power level, but the
Yeah,
curve
correct.
of the throttle.
Correct.
Okay.
The throttle curve is, you know, I guess I'll have to double check. I can pull it up and double check. I'll do that now.
I mean,
Go ahead.
okay. Well, either way, the strong spring and single finger was not to my liking, so that's why I went ahead and worked on the 2-finger trigger option. So once I get that printed and tested and tweaked and tested and working, I'll share that on my printables page for anybody out there who wants to do that. But I believe the spring is the same. I haven't compared it. I'd have to dig out my old SSD throttles that I replaced the spring on, but I believe it's the same spring as the original SSD throttles, in which case the software replacement spring would also work on the Arc Pro controllers. But I haven't really seen anybody post or complain about that before me right now. So I haven't tested that. But if 2 fingers works, then I won't feel the need to change the spring. Yeah, that's all for my show and tell at the moment. We'll talk about the racing later a little bit more. Let's give Garth a few minutes. What you got, Garth? Keep working on that unmute button.
Got an update on my motor pod, rotating motor pod for the NSR. Can you see that okay?
Yep.
Okay, this is I got this, I got a few of these and I just got them this afternoon. So, and I got these from their SLS nylon printed. I got them from this outfit in Texas through Craft Cloud. And man, these are the best ones I've got from them. Okay, I mean, every time I order something from them, they just keep getting better. So I don't know, maybe they're getting used to me or something. But anyways, this is the NSR Sidewinder pod with a rotating thing in it. And that's the bottom of it. It's unlike the other pods, it's, you know, the motor is flipped around in it because the NSR has a flipped around motor. That's what it looks like when you get them. Close look at it. Okay. It's really nice print. Really, really nice. And they used this, and I don't know, maybe Greg, you'll know what they are, but the white nylon on it is kind of it's not, all the ones I've gotten previous have been really white, very white. I mean, like white. These are a little non-white or off-white, okay? But man, I'm telling you, they are just strong like bull and just really, really nice dimensionally. Okay, there it is in the chassis. It looks like in the chassis. And it fit pretty good. I was surprised that I got it that close. Although it was relatively easy because it only has three mounting points. Okay, that also this is with the setup, the suspension setup in it. And I have not even run this on the track yet. I just basically got it done before we came on the air here. And that's what it looks like with the and I got the suspension screws with the mounting tabs are have a 1 millimeter silicone washer underneath like all the other ones. And then in the front, the rotating tube is solid mounted, just one screw set from the bottom. Okay, that's look at it from the back, and it's it's pretty much clearance, just like the NSR pod is. There's nothing back here at all, nothing that mounts, and it came out pretty good. I hope I'm gonna test it, see what it's like against the stock pod. Hopefully it's at least equal is what I'm hoping for. There it is from the bottom. It's only got the 2 mounting screws, and then this one is mounted solid. Okay, so that's the shot of the chassis with the standard NSR pod in there. And so we've had this running like this for a couple of weeks, and we've without a body on it. So we've run some tests on it. So we'll run a test on the rotating pod against it. See what the difference is. So pretty happy with the prints, and happy that I got an SLS source that's been pretty good. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Been good. No lap time comparisons just yet, though.
No, I haven't even run it, Greg. I just got done putting it together before the show came.
All right, next week then.
Yeah.
So
All right,
Greg,
Mike, did you find it?
yeah, I did. You are correct. There is not.
Okay. Dang it. I hate being right about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like it couldn't be done. It just would require, firmware programming or software programming. Somebody would have to do it,
Yeah.
And it's low priority. I mean,
Oh, I'm sure.
Slaughter have already given us the ability to do a basic controller for $30. That's hard to argue with.
Yeah. Yeah. If it could be adjustable, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, but then they're cutting into their SCP sales.
It's
right?
true.
So
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a long discussion about that with somebody else. Like, as much as I wish for that to be true, it would be of no benefit to slot it pretty much to do that to make the
Do you know of
architectural-
do you know of anybody that's tried manipulating those? I tried a little bit, and it wasn't effective. The ones on SSD. I couldn't figure out what numbers to plug in to make it work right. it'd be nice if I could find somebody that's done it so they have an idea of certain profiles that would be available.
To do throttle curves on the Arc Pro?
Well, for instance, you remember the throttle curves in RCS 64?
Yeah.
To reproduce those style of curves, especially the 4 that you preferred, which I found to be useful. But I haven't been able to effectively reproduce them to use with the true speed controllers that I have, which have adjustable sensitivity. But it would be nice if they had the throttle adjustment so that I could figure out that part of it and see if it's effective. But so far, I haven't been able to.
They should be affected the same way that the SSD controllers are affected.
That's true. They are affected the same way, but it hasn't been effective for it. I like them the way they are with their linearity, that the way they've got their linearity set up. But sometimes on certain cars, it would be nice to have it adjustable. But it's a lot of mucking about to figure out what numbers to plug in to make it work that way. And I wondered if anybody had done that already, and if they had,
I mean, we were using, we had a fairly good, early on we had the basic SSD controllers, no knob or wireless or anything, just plug in, just a better quality controller. But later on, when we got the wireless ones, they came with the sensitivity adjustment. And whether or not people use that, we continued to use the different throttle curves in RCS 64. And I don't remember them being less effective using the true speeds than they had been using the Scalextric controllers.
Oh, for sure, RCS 64, it definitely affected the controllers in a good way.
Okay.
But with PC Lap Counter, I haven't been able to reproduce that.
Okay, yeah.
That's my issue.
Yeah, yep. Because it doesn't have throttle curves.
Well, that on SSD it does for that.
Okay, where?
If you look, I just was in it. On drivers,
Let me switch
under
to
7042 options, and there's a pull down menu on the bottom. You have to check it in the driver section of it. And there's a menu there that you can adjust.
Drivers.
7042 options.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, there's a show the throttle curves or something like that. I can't remember what it said.
Throttle map enabled. Yeah.
Right. And you can manipulate those numbers.
Yep. Yeah, I've never played with that. And you should be able to basically duplicate the numbers.
Well, it doesn't cross directly with RCS 64.
Because it's 16 rather than
10
or whatever. Yeah, I haven't messed with it, but I'm sure it can be done. The problem is that you just have the one, right? You can't set a variety to choose from like you can.
If I knew the numbers, I could make a sheet with the numbers on it that I could reproduce it. If I could figure out what works.
And then just go in and edit the numbers every time you wanted to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was particularly the problem that you had, that the particular car that Shiggy was using was real sensitive, and it was the low end, and I tried moving those around a little bit, but I couldn't get it to make any difference. For him, he said, well, it's just dead at the bottom then and stuff. So, whatever I did didn't work all that well.
It would be nice to see that for the slotted options, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It probably isn't possible because of the way the SSD works versus the way that slotted works.
Yeah.
Anywho.
And always wish.
Right? All right. I think it's time to move on. Gio put his hand up. I assume you're done, Mike. You don't need your hand up anymore?
Correct.
You have it for Club Corner? Okay.
Yeah,
what you got for show and tell, Gio?
I mean, nothing really super major, and basically 2 bits of I mean, small things, let's say. I mean, it's just starter or appetizer. So normally when I take the cars that I build to these large events, normally they do just the race and I retire them. Wayne hates me for that, but that's part of the deal. And so one of the things now I have, I think like, I don't know, 6, 7 bodies lying around. I mean, not dead people, but just cars bodies. And I've been thinking, I mean, what to do with them, right? I mean, I use them for, improvement, looking at stuff that I've done in the past and then try to learn lesson learned and then move to the next car. So I need still to kind of have a look at them, and I don't disassemble completely what's in there. But I've been thinking, I mean, is there a way that I can kind of present in a neat way, keeping them as a kind of a trophy? So finally, we have IKEA here in New Zealand. So I went like for a look around, and I found these frames kind of deep.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Yeah. So I was looking. So I was thinking like, okay, I need something that is a kind of enough depth for putting in the car. I don't want to kind of sticking out. But then also I was thinking like, okay, what kind of a pattern? I mean, how can I present it in a nice way? And when the line and there are, I think there are also 132 or 124. So they kind of, the idea of having like the background like that with some written bits and bolts is coming from. There is a product that you can buy where you have already the cars, the models with the frame and whatnot, and they are attached with magnets behind it. So you can there is no glass, so you can take the car out, look at it, and then put them back. At the moment, I'm not there yet, so this is just like sitting on top. But you can do quite a lot of stuff. So this, for instance, is the BMW. Then
So Gio, those are called shadow boxes. That's a great idea.
okay, yeah. I mean, they make also nice photography for photography. I mean, they look really really cool. But you can also put like the transparent plexiglass that come with it. You can have two options. You can put like a touch so as at the bottom or at the top. So for the top, basically you can put there. I mean, you cannot take the car out, of course, but at least you avoid the dust and the crap collecting on the car. And so basically, you can play around with the button. So the size is a bit odd. So it's I think 25 by 20. I mean centimeters. So it's not a proper A4, but I've been kind of designing some of these buttons in PowerPoint, and I will need to print them in a nice kind of photographic mat or whatever, and then make it a bit kind of more, let's say, professional. But it's kind of yeah. So once you start having like as I said, like 5 or 6 bodies, it becomes like pretty a cool collection. So this is the first bit.
Those would make great trophies.
Those are very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you guys were talking about the having stuff features in RMS for as oxygen. So I'm just starting playing around with Chris RMS. So already you can see that he's a pretty slick compared to what we're used. So here what you see, for instance, are the initial kind of race setups. I mean, all kind of race series that you can set up. You can set up track or whatnot. So then you can go inside and you can have like a starting screen that gives you like information about how the race or this series is set up, and then you have the free practice qualifying stuff basically that you can select over here. It's a still work in progress. uh, and it's kind of early days in this, especially for me, because this is kind of a second day that I'm kind of playing around with this tool. But I mean, I think I'm gonna ask, because it's a Oxygen 4. I'm gonna ask my people to start buying SP3 controller, because I think it's gonna be a game changer for Oxygen. I think there's gonna be people that are gonna adopt Oxygen just to play around with these RMS, like I did when I started this madness with SSD. So I went into SSD because it was the only system running with uh, RCS 64. So anyway, so Chris has been doing a kind of a crazy amount of work and making a beautiful piece of software to play with. So I believe that I don't care how much it's gonna cost, because I want the full thing. I mean, like, really take my money. So it's gonna be really.
Cool.
It looks, yeah. And as I say, they're still kind of, I'm not gonna into kind of more details and stuff, because I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. But the amount of configuration that, like a P2 Windows, and it's basically what I've been dreaming for. I mean, for a long, long time. Anyway, and the other bit, because I think, RCSO2, if the guys Marcel and what the other name of the developer, I don't remember now. That's really bad. Yeah, Martin. So if they'd been working on it, the functionality, would have been there. But they stopped it. And and by the way, Marcel is also one of the beta testers, so he's putting a lot of inputs there. So as I told Chris, looks, it's becoming like RCSO2 on steroids. So which is what we need.
I mean, it's a whole new thing. I mean,
It is a whole new thing, but the basic functionality, some of the kind of features there, it's kind of, RCS is kind of the father of this. So,
has he mentioned anything about player limitations? Like RCS is kind of stuck with 8 because of the screens of real estate.
So to be seen, I think. I'm not gonna.
Okay.
I think so. Without, the system can take 20 IDs, and basically, has been target to both, medium clubs with it, like simulations, but also for large events. So you can go easily to 20 if you don't use the simulation stuff, because it's gonna be like a nice dashboard where 20 IDs can sit without any problem. And remember that in those events, if you're using the main screen, or even if you have multiple screen, you don't see shit. So basically, you run completely blind. In fact, I think Chris might have in the pipeline having mobile satellites devices that are going to be your phone, so that you can see in real time what's going on, at least for your car. And that maybe later on can enable also other kind of, like simulation or not. I think at this stage already you can have like a multiple screen where you have the screen where you just see the what's called the standings for the different car in real time about the race going on, and then you can have also the one where you have whatever the tiles for simulation and whatnot. But I don't think you can fit 20 and being also readable, right? Because you will need freaking huge screens.
Yeah.
So when the satellite device will become something, then will be interesting to see how that is gonna be implemented. So, mega kudos to really big shout out to Chris and also Marcel, because he's kind of testing. I hope the next week I will be able to test with my crew here. And I will report back.
Looking forward to that.
Gio, on those framed or shadow box bodies, that's a really cool idea. With the backgrounds, you could use, of course, photographs as the background too, partially, and the graphics are great, but what do you reuse your light setups that you put inside your racers, or you could leave them in those bodies and have a power source on the frame, push a button, and they light up like they do on the track.
Yeah, so that's coming. But that's why I didn't want to show these, because I want to show the final product. So I have basically like 3 volts, for button batteries with the switches. So basically battery holders for 3 volts batteries
Cool.
on their way to China, from China.
Nice.
We also think like, because you could have several kind of ways in which you could do, like you put also like LEDs underneath the top, and then you could switch on the lights. But then how you're gonna, for that one I would hardwire them, but then how you're gonna do that? I mean, can be a bit more complicated. But for basic stuff, like yes, so what I'm gonna do is gonna put the 3 volts 3 volt battery behind it with the switch, and then connect maybe not all the 45 LEDs, but
Right.
some of them will be kind of connected and will light up. So basically, watch this space.
And
Nice.
the depending on what sort of background the wall you're going to mount them on is going to provide, you could also put LEDs underneath, so they would be kind of backlit against the wall.
Yeah. So that's a part of
There's tons of cool things you can do with that. Yeah. Creative guy like you's just gonna it's gonna be a field day.
Yeah, so that's why I said like
Watch
we'll
this
see
space.
more. We'll see more on this.
Sweet.
Good.
Cool. And
I was
also
also-
gives an idea for you guys as well, because the other thing is that this is like standing frame as well, so you could put on your desk if you want to.
Nice.
So this could be also kind of another cool, way of showing off, let's say, your cars, or if you have like your favorite one, like that auto art Pantera, I think, Lamborghini. So that one also will be nice on that on a frame like that.
Yeah. Miura.
Miura,
Cool.
yes. Why Pantera? I don't know why, but anyway, yeah. But
That's
there is
cool.
but the Pantera is from who did the Pantera, because it's
De
similar stuff.
Tomaso.
Yeah, De
Yeah,
Tomas.
yeah.
Yes. And I
But
think
it had a Ford engine, don't forget.
yeah. I mean, it was more reliable.
The other one was Mangusta, the predecessor to the Pantera. It was all De Tomaso. No, I can't remember.
Yeah.
It had a Chevrolet engine on it.
Cool.
Very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. Looking forward to more about Chris's race manager. But Razman has also posted recently about his Raz manager, and that looks pretty impressive as well. So I saw him pop on earlier today, hoping probably that it was the early show this week. So maybe he'll join next week and tell us a little bit more about Raz manager. But there is a very long and in-depth video on Slot Forum about Raz manager, and I think it'll be great for big events.
Yeah. So just a small note as well. So one of the Chris mates in his annual club is a guy that was a racing professional. I think he did the 24 hours Le Mans with LMP2 cars. And he asked Chris, this guy, which kind of software he uses for doing. And the guys basically provided kind of information. It seems that Chris was able to retrieve the software. So he has implemented some of that, which again, I've not touched it. So this will be something that we'll see later on. But I was thinking, freaking hell, I mean, with my guys, we could spend then the rest of the evening after one race just looking at the data. So
Yep. But you know what? Let's go ahead and play it back in real time.
yeah, you can do actually. So
I know,
actually, basically, they have like you can record. You can basically log, or the system is logging most of the data about one specific car, and then you can race against yourself basically. So, which is gonna be interesting, right? So anyway, I will shut up now.
Good stuff on the horizon for Oxygen, that's for sure.
That's true. Yeah.
All right, Mikey. Mike, you want to talk about racing?
Oh, sure. Can we do one more tell before we do that?
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
Sure, go ahead. Hi, guys. Sitting in the traffic as always. I can't show you anything. I just want to do a little talk about something and acknowledge help from Greg again, as always. We get some weird things. We get some weird things come into the store every now and then, and today was kind of weird. Last week I fitted some digital chips to the BRM Group 2 cars, right? The BMW 2002s and the Mini Cooper and things like that. And they go in pretty easily because, the BRM cars have the holes cut in them in the chassis ready for the space for the polarity switch and the sensor of the Carrera chip. So I just put them in with some hot glue and wired them all up and tested them and sent them off, and they all looked good, and they came back today. And the guy's saying, "Oh, I got a problem." He says, "If I put the car on the track and I pair it with a controller, everything works. And then as soon as the car comes off, it doesn't work anymore. I have to repair it every time. If I pick the car up and put the car back on the track, then I have to repair with the controller." So I don't know what that was all about anyway. So I started looking to find out. And what I found out was that you could set these controllers and pair the car to a controller, as long as you paired it to the controller that's plugged into Tower 1 in the control unit of the Carrera. Everything worked fine. If you paired it to a controller plugged in Power 2 or in Tower 2, when you took it off the track, it stopped working, but it reverted back to Tower 1. So it was going back to a default all the time. And I still haven't worked out why. I think I've worked out how it happened. We found out that the guy was running at 20 volts on his system, and maybe somehow he's managed to fry these things. But replacing them with new chips solved the problem. Has anybody ever heard?
Oh, Mike, you started your share.
Sorry.
You still there, Dennis?
Oh,
Oh, so
all right. I'm still here. When did I stop?
You're about to say, has anybody ever had this happen before?
Yeah. Has anybody ever had this happen before? I know there's not a lot of Carrera digital guys on the chat, but because what I was wondering was, if you mount those chips into the BRM cars, when you place the chip above where the cutouts are on the center chassis for the sensor and the switch, the only place to mount it, if you're looking just to hot glue it in, is on top of the little brass top hat nuts that hold the two pieces of the chassis together. And I was wondering whether my hot gluing of those things in there had created a short of some sort somewhere. But certainly couldn't see that anything had shorted, and it just didn't work. So I put them back in now with some spacers so that they don't touch those things. And hopefully we won't have any more trouble. But I was just wondering whether anybody else had seen the problem, and certainly just to tell everybody that I had got onto the one and only digital guru that I know about, who is Mr. Greg Galp, who was
very helpful this morning, asking all the right questions. And even though we didn't come up with an answer, I did appreciate the support.
Well, now I know one more question to ask for future. So I have more questions, of course, for those chips. Like if you ever end up having time to play with those chips more, if you put them on a track with the correct voltage, do they still misbehave?
Yes,
Yes. Okay.
because I did that today.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Most
they
likely.
misbehave all the time.
Yeah. So
And
yeah.
And so what I did was I pulled a chip out of a returned car that we had lying around there, and plugged it into one of the cars, and everything worked okay. And then just decided, well, I'm going to put new chips in these cars. Put new chips in, and they all worked fine on my little test bench that I use for that, which is a power base with the correct power supply and one piece of track that at least I can check that the sensors are working and the throttles are working and the motor's turning in the right direction.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah. Most likely that voltage killed part of the chip.
I think something in the voltage killed them. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you see the way that the rest of the car was, and how the braids had been adjusted, and how the one guide, and I have no idea why he did it, but the guide has been shortened until it's like really only about 2 millimeters deep. And it's been done with a pair of side cutters by the looks of it. You can imagine that it's not the greatest workmanship you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, sir, please
All
call
right.
us next time
Thanks,
you have any
guys.
problems.
Yeah.
Hopefully
it'll be okay now.
Is there a difference between the chips for the 124th Carrera cars and the 132nd?
I think the major difference is the size and the configuration, the physical configuration. I couldn't find anything about the voltage.
Yeah, I believe that all the chips are capable of the same high
handling the
voltage.
18 volts. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem with using that high voltage on the 132nd cars is that they're way too fast. And then if you try to use the 124th cars on the 132nd voltage, the lower voltage, then they're way too slow. So
yeah.
The main difference is the
I
cars
don't know
themselves, less than the chips.
I did talk to the customer later on, and he did claim that he's never run anything at 21 volts. You know, he's run at 18 though. Yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Anyway, just thought I'd see if anybody had ever heard of that. The interesting part was the fact that everything still seemed to work. It's just that every time you took it off the track, whatever it is, a chip that maintains the address of the at least wasn't working, and it reverted to the factory default all the time.
Yeah, it fried the EPROM. Garth had some input. What you got, Garth?
I just wanted to show this. I don't know if you guys have seen it or if anybody else has seen it, but this is
oh yeah,
poster that and this is a little slot car meet / race that's not a long ways away from where I live. Okay, this is in kind of New Baltimore, Michigan, which is about 10 miles from where I live. And this was on Professor Motors' website, and they're selling the use of tables there. So I guess Professor Motor is involved in it, but I don't know who else is involved in it. But I thought the poster was pretty cool. You know,
that is cool. Yeah.
You know,
actually,
so.
thanks for bringing that up. Actually, I meant to talk about it, but forgot.
Oh,
so
okay.
Leave that up for a sec. I posted about this on the Slot forum, because I had no idea about this event at all until I happened to go to Professor Motor last week after Mike said they had, they were clearing out a bunch of Scalextric cars. So I'm like, okay, well, let's see what they got and what the prices are and everything. And when I got to their deals and info or whatever news page or whatever, I saw this poster or something similar, and I'm like, wait a minute, there's a slot car, swap meet show right here in the States. So I clicked on it, and then I saw where it's talked about digital. I'm like, wait a minute, what makes this a digital festival? And it turns out they're also going to run a slotted oxygen digital racing event. I believe it was, off the top of my head, I think it was 3 hours of endurance racing for a 3-man team for oxygen, and then they had kind of a spec situation going on with what cars are allowed. It's a Can-Am class, and examples of how to chip cars and stuff. And so this prompted me to post on Slot Forum, hey, there's United States oxygen events happening. Here's this one I just found out about. And then of course there's also the mention of something happening with Polycar at Electric Dreams later this year. I would have loved to go to this event, of course, but I'm way too far away to plan such a. It's like happening here in the next few weeks. It's like
Yeah, it's
early
April 11th. April 11th.
Yeah, so like 4 weeks from now.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I haven't talked to them about it or anything, but I think there's a guy that lives up in this is kind of north of where I'm at, Greg. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a guy up in that area, or a couple guys that I think race digital. So I think it's Oliver at Professor Motor and a couple other guys that did have digital stuff, and they kind of, Oliver is trying to promote racing, local racing in different areas anyway. So, but the reason I loved it is because it's only 10 miles away from my house.
You should absolutely go, if only to the swap meet, and then maybe observe some of the digital carnage.
Yeah, and I don't know how much is going to be at the swap meet, but it's close enough from to me to, and I'd never get to go to these damn things. So
yeah.
But the poster's pretty cool. So
yeah, kind of a Woodstock thing going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, and I'm a little bit jealous that you're so close to it.
Yeah.
If I was that close to it, I would absolutely be preparing a car right now for racing it.
Oh yeah, I just want to go to
the guys together.
I just want to go to the swap meet, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
And it might end up being somewhat similar to the NSR Eastern Championship thing they had for the last couple of years, but that has been like a kind of a swap meet and a race type thing. But that was kind of in the Ann Arbor, Michigan area, close in by where Professor Motor is. And that also was sponsored by Slot Car Corner, Professor Motor, and Cloverleaf. Okay, but that's more like an hour away from where I'm at instead of being 15 minutes away. So
yeah,
this is actually on my side. It's sort of my side of the state/town. So
well, we look forward to hearing how things go and what you end up picking up and see and hear and whatnot. All right. Let's give Mike a minute. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, I got to go through this again.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Unfortunately, I forgot to take photos of the finishing cars this time, but I can talk you through that. Just Shiggy and I were racing, and we raced with 3 ghost cars, which is interesting with open wheel cars. So we did the late 70s, early 80s Formula One cars that I usually, because I only have two of them. If there's only a couple of us, I race those. And Shiggy kicked my butt. I had the worst day with the ghost cars that I've ever had. They would change lanes in front of me and knock me out all over the place. I just had a bad night from that standpoint for that particular race. And Shiggy took me to town by 5 laps. So in the second race, I raced the aforementioned Porsche and the Ferrari 296, the Carrera cars. And the Porsche was just a tad slower. Shiggy took top qualifier in both of these races. The first one was by 0.3 of a second, so I was still down from that. This one, he was only 0.2 of a second ahead of me, so I had my work cut out for me. I couldn't make any mistakes, and I had to plan it right. And this race, I won on fuel, and you can see he was a half a lap behind me. Well, you can't see that, but it says 1 lap, but it was a half a lap behind me, and I really had to pedal in order to do that. I really had to stay on it, and I won by short fueling. And since I was getting better fuel mileage than he was, I could just about equalize it. So the first time I short fueled, and then I kept my speed up as a result of it. And then the next time and the next time. So we were almost equal as far as the times when we stopped for fuel, but I didn't fuel as much. So that upped my pace enough and kept me ahead. We did move back and forth during the pit stops because we weren't in sync on pit stops, but it kept me ahead. But let me tell you, it was a very satisfying win because I had a slower car and I did it on strictly strategy moves during the race. And he didn't realize what I was doing during the race. And I told him afterwards, he went, "Oh, you stinker." But hey, that's part of the game. So it was a really, really, really good race. We really had a good time. One of the best races. Weird thing happened. Each of us lost a wheel for some reason. And it equalized that way. It cost me a lap and a half when I did that. Because it was a little bit of time before I realized what was going on and stuff. So
You
it
should
was
fire the mechanics.
Yeah. Well, truthfully, on the Porsche, I didn't have the correct gear for it. So I had to use the Carrera gear setup. And as you might know, that those are knurled axles. So I ground down the knurls on it. And also the wheels that I put on the Porsche have stainless steel screws. They come with stainless steel screws. And stainless steel screws, in my experience, a number of times now, loosen up more easily than regular solid steel screws. So that's what happened to me. What happened to him is he had a press-on wheel that let go, which does happen sometimes. I glued it on and it was fine.
Are you talking about set screws, Mike?
Yeah.
Yes, that is absolutely true. I learned that lesson a couple of years ago. The black oxide screws have better threading. Okay, the stainless steel screws are the threading is not as good on them. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's what happened. So regardless, that happened. But both of us had it. It was about the same amount of time, so there was pretty even in that regard. But yeah, this was nip and tuck. He was bearing down on me at the end, and I held him off. And one of the nice things about my track, and one of the bad things about my track, is that it's hard to pass on the outside lane. And if you're just the same speed, it's really difficult to get around somebody unless you time it just right. So it was quite a challenge for me, but it was a good time, and he didn't feel bad and I didn't feel bad for him because it was a tough fight. So anyway, that's all I got. Come on, stop
Fun,
share.
fun. I got you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it was a great time.
Yeah, and I had an equally okay time on. Wayne's here. He knows how it went, and other people have watched the video to see how it went. I will simply say what Wayne said. Green goes to orange, orange goes to white, white goes to blue. The
And Greg
hilarious
wins
thing.
by 10 laps.
And Greg wins by 10 laps. Yeah, I mean, that was a given.
Yes.
But the funny thing is that we started off okay with the whole car switcheroo thingamajigger, which is a requirement because of the way that the IROC thing was working. You know, people moving through cars. The cars had to move back through the people. The first few heats we remembered, right? But then people started getting kind of impatient with the process, and then forgetting the correct order or direction of car movement. And so, you know, we got towards the last few heats, and somebody would just start shouting, "Okay, orange goes to green," and then just wait a minute, just everybody's head explodes, and we try to rewind and figure things out. Where was that car? No, it goes over there. Where was that car? It goes over there. But if you watch the video, you definitely saw a marked improvement in car control and digital skills between the first heat or two versus the last heat or two, by everybody other than me, of course.
I love
and-
your double lane change there.
Yeah, I love that.
I was
Doing
going
that.
to say the same thing, Mike. Greg's got the
Doing that
technique
pattern.
of going 2 lane changes per lap. Yeah.
Get to the
Surprised
outside
no
on
one
both of
else
those
spotted
R1
that.
turns. Yeah, and some of the other guys know that I do it, and you know they've seen me do it before, so they know it's a thing. But yeah, using the outside lanes on both of those R1 turns definitely smooths things out a bit. And to be fair, of course, it's my track, so obviously there's that advantage, and it's digital, so there's that advantage. And also, I had to do a whole lot of testing with these cars to make sure everything would go smoothly, or rather, as smoothly as what you saw in the video, which is relatively smooth considering.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I had a fair amount of experience with all the cars, anyways, just by the nature of having to have tested them ahead of time.
Did you
But
have
at the
races
same
where
time,
people ran their own cars after that?
that's what the series races. Everybody is their own
Yeah.
cars, and I would love for there to be, you know, digital race where everybody brings their own cars and controllers and everything. But there's just not enough interest currently for that to happen. So I make these guys do it every 10 weeks.
And your
But
old digital club, I'm sorry, your old digital club, none of the guys ever decided to come back and rebound and get back into it?
I got a little bit of interest when I sent an email out to all those old guys and saying, "Hey, are you interested in doing some more digital?" But it was very non-committal. You know, sure, maybe that sounds good. You know, nobody came back to me saying, "Hey, Greg, are you going to schedule a race or what?" Right. So
How
you
many
kind of
guys
get the
did you have
feeling.
at first?
But I'm experienced enough to know that they don't come if you don't build it, right? So you've still got to. There has to be somebody who builds it so that they will come, right? And that's always been me, and I kind of am done with that. So not really in the mood to build it, but I realize that that's what I'm gonna have to do if I want more digital racing. I'm gonna have to say, okay, everybody come race, and then continue to basically redo what I did 15
They,
years ago.
they didn't have any.
Have
They didn't have their own
other
tracks at
members
all.
got digital layouts?
That was two people. Let's let Dewan go first.
No, I was just asking. So not many other people have digital tracks at their place. You're the only supplier to digital tracks. And how many guys
No,
did you guys get up to?
I mean, two or three of the original guys definitely aren't doing it anymore, right? Because half of the reason they were doing it was because they had kids and their kids were interested in doing it. And so, the kids lost interest. The club itself kind of dropped off the face of the earth when the pandemic hit, and so they moved on to other things. There's a couple other guys that still have their tracks, put up. They still play with their toy cars every once in a while that would probably still be able to host a race. There's a couple of tracks in the area, like the guy with that big 4-lane Carrera track that I've shown in the past. But that's not the same as getting a bunch of people committed to buying a car, installing a chip, getting a controller, and going to an event that's potentially not going to be of interest to them beyond a fluke, right? When I went to the guy's big Carrera digital track, the digital events were basically just family fun events, just kind of get kids in there to play and goof around. Then after all that was done, they did analog. The real racing was analog. So most people view digital. Most people around here still view digital as just a silly thing for kids, right? And the few that see that it's more than that are far between.
Good, sweetie.
So it's just a matter of me or somebody else, but probably me, saying, okay, let's do this thing. Here's the specs. Here's the meeting date. And then after that, have another meeting date, and so on and so forth. You got to keep doing, keep hosting races until somebody else decides to host a race.
Now, how many guys did you the club ever get up to? Or how many people typically would be at the
At one
races?
point we had about a dozen guys, which was pretty good. Most of the time it was 6, 7, 8 guys. Sometimes it was 4 or 5 guys. But it's like I keep saying, it's just a matter of advertise, advertise, advertise. And I, of course, don't like to spend any money on that. So you just got to keep putting it out there until enough people see it in the area and say, okay, I'll come by and give it a try. There, just like anywhere else in the country and the world, there's plenty of people out there with their own digital slot car tracks. It's whether or not they're looking for something to get connected to or not, right? Some of them will look for slot cars and find an analog club and go do that. That's where most of them are going to end up going because that's what most of the clubs are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's basically why I started my digital club way back in the day, was because I know there's other people out there with digital tracks. And it's just a matter of getting them to know about the fact that I'm trying to get a group of guys together to have fun racing digital. So I got to do that all over again.
The analog guys look like they're pretty much liked it. You don't think they're gonna kind of
most of the guys did like it, right? But that's not the same as being willing to buy a car, install a chip, get a controller. Right? Maybe 1 or 2 of the guys would be willing to do that. So anyway, what were you going to ask, Wayne, or say?
Exactly the same question that the one asked. Have you got all the tracks in the vicinity? But you've covered it.
Yep. The answer is no until I try again, until I do all the work all over again.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike's a sure thing, right? If it's a day he's free, he'll drive friggin' 5 hours over the mountains to come to race if it's something he can attend. But I don't want to make him do that if it's going to end up being me and him and maybe one other guy. So
Yeah,
I got to get something going before I expect Mike to make a trip for it.
Well, now you have like a nice set of DTM cars that I think they're pretty, reasonable, good to race. I mean, why don't you, you need basically good drivers, right?
Yeah.
So if you put
I've still got all my Scalextric digital. I can still do all the Scalextric digital. I've still got multiple sets of Scalextric digital cars to race as well. So it's
sure,
not,
yeah,
it's not
yeah. But do
It's
you
it's
want to
lack
kind
of
of
me wanting to do all the work to get the ball rolling again. It's a very large ball. It takes a lot of effort to make it roll and keep it rolling.
You're just
And
a
is it
little closer.
I
and is it a problem with having multiple different protocols? I mean,
No, no,
no?
some
because
guys have Carrera, some guys have Scale Electric, some guys are running Oxygen, so there's no commonality. So
But
a
it's
guy
a
from the outside,
it's a mute point. I mean, it is as it is.
Oh.
So basically, there is nothing that we can do about that. The only thing is that if you want to have a group to get the ball rolling, I think the first thing you should do is to have enough control as a car for doing for hosting an event. I mean, I did this with the Scalatrix SSD, I think as Greg did as well, because already the Platinum set was coming with 6 chips and 6 controllers. I didn't need to do anything for that. For Oxygen was more expensive. But that's how I got the ball rolling with Oxygen as well. When we did the switch, I started giving them controllers and cars, and then after they say this is cool, okay, then you start buying your car, you start buying your chip. I'm still happy to provide the control because in any case, what the heck I'm gonna do with the 10 SPC2?
It's not at all about the digital protocols and the incompatibilities between them. It's entirely about getting people to know that you want them to come over and play with toy cars with you, right? Because I know exactly what needs to be done. There's no I don't need advice on what needs to be done. What I need is a whole bunch more round to it to put into play
Just
because
do it.
yeah.
so it
I
because
just wonder.
you start off by saying let's digital race. I have the cars, I have the controllers. All you need to do is come. That's it. You come and race.
All right.
You're good to
So-
go, right?
So
When my club
you
was
know,
rolling successfully, we had Scalextric digital tracks, we had Carrera digital tracks. I feel like we at one point maybe we had a SCX digital track, and when we went to that person's house, we either used their cars and controllers or we brought our own compatible car and controller. And
I mean, but
there
the
were
analog guys do that every week, right?
yeah.
So what's going on? Why is it the type of racing? Is it or
The
do
analog
the
guys are a
analog
bunch of
guys feel
the analog guys are a bunch of old farts that do what they've been doing for the last 50 years.
Exactly.
okay?
And
Okay.
it's not that they're unwilling to participate. Obviously, you saw 8 other guys than me being willing to participate in the carnage of digital on my track.
Yeah.
It's that
Yeah.
they have no reason to buy into digital when they're perfectly happy with their analog. They have no, unless they're the rare bird that discovers digital like me and goes, holy crap, that's the awesomest thing in the world. I want to do that. I remember analog cars, they were boring, stuck in their lane, but now I want to do digital because they change lanes and do all this other cool stuff. They'll just stick with analog, right? Most of those guys don't look at that,
No,
don't look at digital and say, I want to do that. They look at digital and say, why would I want to do that?
I
I'm
mean,
just looking at the fact that there's a guy like me who's a full-on 100% analog guy, looking at what you guys are doing and thinking to myself, so if there's a bunch of guys running these cars and I have to have 3 cars for 3 different protocols and 3 different controllers, this is starting to become, I can't use any of my current equipment because none of my controllers will work with any of this stuff. So, and I just wonder whether that's not one of the things that is hampering the growth of digital racing.
It's a red herring because
yeah.
the only thing that's going to get anybody into digital racing, even if there was a singular protocol across the board and there was none of that concern whatsoever, you're still going to have the guys who come up with other excuses as to why they're not interested, right? I don't want to have to buy a chip for this car. Even if it's just one chip, works everywhere you race, it doesn't matter. It's 20 bucks they complain about. 20 bucks, not 40 or 50 bucks. They complain about the $20 Scalextric digital chip.
But
They
they'll
complain
send 20
about the
bucks
they
on
complain
tires every time.
they complain about the $100 or $50 or $30 digital controller when they've spent $500 on a DeFalco or a Third Eye or a whatever controller. It's because
Yeah, all right. I mean,
they're not actually interested in digital.
and that's the real reason. So those guys are not your market, right?
You're right.
But it's,
I'm not,
I don't think
maybe somebody missed that part. I'm not targeting the analog racers, and I never
Yeah.
have.
Okay.
but okay, I don't agree with that. I mean, so again,
I'm letting them in. The door is open. I'm not turning them away, but I'm not going out of my way to try to convince analog drivers that they should come try digital.
correct.
I learned that a long time ago.
But there is
Actually-
also something that you might be missing there because you are running digital as they run analog. So personally, I don't see any, well, I have to say, kind of different point in running digital in that way. I'm talking this with the experience here. Again, I'm not saying that you're gonna convert everybody, but most of the guys that are racing my track, they are all analog racers. Okay, and some of them also very good analog racers. Why they race a digital? I think one, because there is no freaking marshal. Everybody race at the same time, so you don't have sitting there looking at doing laps. Simulation is not a big thing because now you can have people that are a bit slower but can still be on top spots. So and the longer races as well, where we have like 40 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. And people by seeing that have seen, even like when I was using what's called simulation with the weather, that the people saw, because during a race, even was 10 minutes, you had so much going on and keep an eye, and the playability side of the things or strategy side of things made a difference for people to almost convert now. Some of them do not do analog anymore. Again, are you gonna convert everybody? Of course not. But also, I believe you have to offer to people to see what the full potential of a digital race. Now, I know that you're doing the 1 minute stuff because your guys are used to that. Maybe you can evolve that later on. But again, this is a different story with what you're doing with your analog people.
Yeah, and the main reason that, I mean, like I said earlier, a couple of the guys would come to the digital races. Mike can attest to the fact that a couple of the analog guys came and raced a while back when I had a digital race Saturday thing. And the main reason that I try to make it as similar to the way that we run analog races is so that they're at least a little bit more comfortable with how
Yeah.
the race is going to be run, right?
outside the norm.
To kind of ease them into it.
Yeah.
And like I said, at no point am I closing them out. They're always being invited. I say, if I run a digital event, I send it to the whole analog group. I say, hey, if you enjoyed that, come and we'll do just that, right? And I know all this, right? I've been there, I've done that. And I would do exactly what you're saying, right? But for a digital event, I would be longer races, all the stuff, not what you saw on that video.
I was pretty impressed with how you really made the similarities with the analog type of format. What race management system did you use to be able to control it to that level? That was just amazing to me.
I was using PC Lap Counter, which is not at all designed to do that kind of race.
Yeah.
So what I had to do with PC Lap Counter is basically set up a race with really, really long heats, like 2-hour heats, because that would be enough time to do the whole race.
Very hard.
Then the DS timing system would actually be the thing controlling the power to the track. So you saw them pushing the button and the beeping and everything, and then they would drive. So that the DS Power analog system was controlling the minute chunks, right? The cars would stop after a minute because that's what the DS Power was set to. And then I would go over to PC Lap Counter after we did our 2 minutes and tell it to change to the next heat. And so a lot of the computering was basically forcing it to change to the next heat, confirming, yes, in fact, I want to change to the next heat, and then confirming, yes, in fact, I did say, yes, in fact, I want to change to the next heat. And then we would do that all over again 9 times, right, in order to bypass its attempt to control things. Because if I try to set it up to do what we do, then it would do a minute at a time. Or if I set it to do 2 minutes, then we wouldn't have the pause at 1 minute like everybody's used to because we race, crash, and burn, right? If I was to do any other kind of race, I would be doing an entirely different format, right? I would probably set PC Lap Counter to do a 20-minute race or a 100-lap race, right? And the DS timing would just be set to infinity, basically, so that the power was always there.
And
right?
what was that running the regular Scalextric digital, or was it running oxygen?
We were running oxygen, right? So the cars were all oxygen chip. The track is Scalextric digital, but that is compatible with oxygen. And the controllers were Scalextric digital controllers that were reprogrammed to be oxygen controllers.
Got it. Got that.
So it was kind of a hybrid, but yeah, technologically we were using oxygen for the control and the timing of things.
So did you talk with or have you exchanged any messaging with Adrian and the guys in Singapore? Because
yes,
they can run so they can run those 2 hours. They don't have a DS system, but still, yeah. I mean, the PC Lap Counter is able to stop the race.
So the way he did it was setting 1 minute heats or whatever, and then he would restart the heat, which PC Lap Counter would let you do. And that's how I originally tried to do it. But then I ended up at the end of the race with having used up all the time, but only run half the race. So it didn't work out for me the way that it worked out for him, because his format is just slightly different from our format.
Mm-hmm.
But
hey, Greg.
None of this is here or there. Go ahead.
I think the highlight of that video is, I think, in the first 5, after there is a switch between the first move of drivers. So there is this guy that goes to red. I think it's the first one, right? Red was the first on and he's bringing in his analog controller and try to plug in, and people say, "What the heck are you doing?"
I didn't even notice that.
That was, I think, the highlight. Man, fuck, people are so used to analog.
I'll have to go look at that. He was probably the same guy that at the very end was saying, "Oh, now I can use my third eye." I'm like, "Yeah, now you can use your third eye."
Yeah, could be. He's a very young guy, so.
Yeah, that was probably Chris then. Yeah, I'll have to go watch that.
I think the difficulty that digital racing's had in becoming widespread adoption is the lack of decent track pieces to run it on. The only compatible system that's widely available is Scalextric, and lane changes aren't cheap, and you can't get away with 1 or 2. You need a fair few. And Ninco was out of production, and that was the obvious choice for more variety of track shapes, track pieces, and you really had to be committed, really wanting to do it, to try and find enough Ninco track to set out really good digital layouts. I think with the advent of the polycar system and now the lane changer availability, it's at the point where it's ready to grow. I think it's ready to really go. The system's working really well, particularly Oxygen 4's now it's as good as it's ever been. And if you
Also,
really
oxygen 3 is good. I mean, the last
Oxygen
film
3 can work well. Yeah, it
Yeah,
can. As
yeah.
long as you're very careful with your choices of firmwares and your
Yeah.
Greg, I'd like to weigh in on your digital questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm no, I'm an old racer of 1/24th scale when I used to go commercial, and that was obviously analog. Now I race digital. I race SEX digital, and I still have a fairly good amount of it, even though it's no longer in production with the old type, not the WOS or the other new ones. But I'm now in Central Florida, and I've communicated with other people that said, "Hey, well, let's get together and race. What do you have?" Well, I don't have a permanent track set up because I live in a retirement community. So what I do on an occasion, I've done it twice now, is I set up a track in the community center, big one now, introduce a whole bunch of people that have never raced before or used to years ago, and I let them race my cars and my controllers, etc. And not one of them said, "How do I buy one of these sets?" They just want to have a good time that night, which is great. But then they ask, "When are you going to do it again?" And of course, it's a lot of work. And my wife said, "You never get to race. All you do is build it, set it up, fix it, and go for it." But having asked the other guys, I've only communicated with two other ones that are so far away that Florida's too big to communicate, to really drive and race, go 2 hours just to get to a guy's house, and you're not staying over, so forth. But they usually have analog tracks or Carrera or SE, or Scale Electrics, etc. So going back to the comment about multiple types of digital, I don't think is the issue because you can obviously bring some stuff to it and have some fun with it. But the logistics of having somebody that used to race or wants to race and being close enough, there are no more commercial raceways that I know of that, not certainly here. In Massachusetts, we had a handful of them, and it got way too expensive and not a lot of fun, to the point where now the newest cars with all their not even they have like some kind of electronics in them running the motor, and it's no thank you, wing cars, etc. I'm a scale guy. I like to race scale, Formula One, a GTP, something with lights. A lot of fun can be had, even if it's not the most readily available system. So I just wanted to see what you guys think about, digital, maybe again, even if you're an old analog guy.
I mean, it goes back to what I was saying earlier in that it's not about whether there's people who would come to race with you. There are, right? There
Oh,
there
yeah.
are people within a 10, 15, 20, 30-minute drive of you that would be happy to come race with you. The problem is they have no idea you exist. And the only way for those people to find you is for you to go out and find them. And the only way to do that is to advertise, 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 advertise. You got to post incessantly and annoyingly on every single forum and Facebook group, next door, meetup, all those places, right? In the hopes, go to your hobby stores, put up flyers, right?
Right.
The local newspaper, like everything that you can possibly think of for free advertising of your event, and it has to be an event with a specific date and time and location.
Right.
Right? You can't
Yep.
just say, "Come, let me know if you want to race." You got to say, "Come to this race at this time
Sure.
here at this location. Cars and controllers provided." And then just hammer that until you just want to go die in your bed from all the work that you just did advertising for it, and you might get a half a dozen. But then you do that again for the next time, and you do that again for the next time, and they tell their friends and they tell their neighbors, and they bring their buddies and they bring their kids and fathers and brothers and whatnot,
Right.
and then it
Right.
starts growing. But the only way to make it happen is to get out that hammer and just start hammering and hammering and hammering
Right. Right.
and
One
hammering.
one other one other thing, if I can go back to that event that I had, the very first one, we said, and I have another friend of mine that flies radio control airplanes, and so do I. So we said, instead of it being dedicated to slot cars, let's do a hobby night. And I don't mean coin collecting. I'm talking about active, radio control cars, radio control airplanes. I have a tank. I got a motorcycle. all these other little things. And there was a lot of interest, but because I had to stay right with the track, I couldn't go over and let the kids run the tank or run the this or run the that. And again, it comes back to, and I tried getting the local hobby shop involved to say, you may get some sales out of this. What if I tell you we're doing, I'm not looking for any sponsors. I'm not looking for any kind of goodies. I'm just saying that if someone says, hey, where do I get one of these? I don't want them to go on the internet. I want them to go to your shop, brick and mortar store, and you help them out, and they may in turn to be a new customer for you. And they were very willing to do it, but most of them don't have slot car stuff. They've got trains and they've got, planes and even, nothing. And again, I don't have a problem buying things on the internet because a lot of times that's the most convenient and usually the cheapest. But it comes back to, our age nowadays is not what it was in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And I mean, it was no unusual thing for me to walk into a store and drop $100 when I was racing, analog 124s. And nowadays, I'm happy to buy a $50 car because it's something I didn't have in my collection. So.
Yep. Yep. And we're over time. So on that note, we will figure out how to advertise our digital racing. But until next week, everybody.
Thank you, Greg. Good night.
Bye. Good night, everybody. Give it a few seconds.
Well,